Hey everybody, I'm just going to wait for people to, we had a technical difficulty, so I restarted. I'm waiting to see if you guys will follow through. Follow me here. I'm going to send out a quick email. Let's do that. So, let's see. We are going to go to YouTube and duplicate this. New channel. Let's see. Almost there. I'm going to send out the email. Let's see. Let's see. So, edit. We'll get the link. And I'll send out a new email. Compose. So I send this out to my people. Okay. And alright, so now I'm going to go back to my video. Hey, let me see, Brad's there. Okay, nameless subscriber. Great. Not sure what happened, so I'm so glad I sent you all out an email. Hey, Tone, how's it going? I appreciate that. We had a little bit of a glitch here, but I just sort of thought quick and said, why wait for that thing to fix? It looks like it was definitely a problem with something to do with YouTube. Not with me, but we have to deal with it when it happens anyway. So if you should be on my nameless subscriber on my mailing list, because I send out a mailing list. Hey, what's up, Chris? Oh, we got some new people the second time. Good to see you, Chris and Tone, so that's great. And so hopefully we'll get others back here. You know, that would be fantastic. I hope. And let me very quickly go to, hey Craig, how you doing? Good to see you. So we do have some new people the second time around. Hopefully they'll come. Raul is back, yes. So we got Mr. Garcia and Raul. I'm so glad about that. Nameless subscriber, Tone, great to see you. Air Todd says, I thought you went to go drink some green tea. That was a good idea, but I didn't. Patty, how's it going? Blue, how's it going? So glad you all made it back, and Todd and everybody. So I'm excited. So let's go back to where we were. Just a little glitch. Nothing we can't handle, right? I'm doing great, Craig. How are you, sir? And how's it going, Mr. Garcia? How's everything? How's that hand feeling? Chris hurt his hand, and so I hope that he's feeling much better. Let's see. Get my brush out of the way. Where is... Oh, there she is. I'll bring her over. Okay, so I have my reference. The reference I use is Pure Ref. I highly recommend it. It's just totally amazing. And John is back. How's it going? Great. And so glad that Brad made it back as well, and Rick's back. So glad you guys are here. And girls. Now, where else can we add some really beautiful darks? I think right here on the lips we can definitely get like a real beautiful edge here. Why not? I'm going to zoom in on my reference. Remember the 1 second rule? It's everything from the very beginning to the very end of your painting. You always want, see how I put little creases of the lips there? And then right here, it's nice and soft edged here. But this is great because we can really go ahead and shape that upper lip, because a lot of times, hey John is back, good to see you. So glad Chris is doing better, thank goodness. Okay, so you see, it's not always the shape of something that defines it. A lot of times it's what is adjacent to it that defines the shape. And so here's the time where we're gonna get my glasses on. Dun dun dun. Hey Blue, okay, so take care. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you have a great night there, Blue. So right here, I'm going to look at the negative shapes, and this dark is what is going to describe her upper lip. And that's just going to fade right in there. And then we have a little bit of a crease here in her upper lip. I'm going to use super light pressure. And then right here we have a super light here. Just like that. Now when we want to get those super lights, what we can do, I'm just going to wash off my brush here, get that ink out of there, put that aside. We're going to come in with the light mixture, and what we're going to do is we're going to work on those other creases, because remember, the crease on the lips, the value has to be very close to what's around it, right? That's crucial. I'm going to lower my air pressure a little bit. There we go. We'll put a little more creases in here. Remember, the value has to be very close to the surrounding value for those creases to work. Otherwise, it's going to look crazy. It's going to look like she has lines on her face, you know? Oh, thanks, Chris. Chris says that the portrait looks nicer than the reference. I appreciate that very much. And let's go ahead and continue with some of these creases here. We don't want to go crazy. You know, like if you're painting a brick wall, you're not going to paint every brick. You're just going to indicate them. And that indication is enough for our eyes to fill in the blanks. So the main thing with this is to get the value correct and the soft edge quality of it. Am I out of ink? A little bit darker over here. Okay. Now, we do have something interesting to work on here, which is the white pastel. And this is, of course, a very sensitive spot. But we're not going to go too crazy. What we really want is the placement of the highlight as it moves across the lips, more so than the actual micro details. So remember, we are painting the impression. We're not photorealists. We're kind of in between, right? In between an impressionist and, let's say, an academic painter. And don't forget, we have Mr. Fonson Porter to come in and get some defined shots here. Right here is this blast of light, right here. did have my kneaded eraser. I think it's time to get another piece of the kneaded eraser. Let's see. I have a bunch over here. Theoretically, they should be over here. Let's see. You know, whenever I go to the art store, I pick up a kneaded eraser, but it doesn't mean I can find it. I guess that's what I call it, kneaded. Let's see. Over here. Or is it over here? Yep. Did find it. So when you use a kneaded eraser, you never really want to, use a huge piece, right? Because then it's too big. You want it to just fit in your hand so that you could, play with it to get small areas with it. So maybe about the size of a quarter. That's about it. And make sure you peel all the plastic off, because if you don't, you inadvertently scratch your artwork. And I know you guys and girls don't want to do that. And once you have it, it's really hard, and you don't want to keep it that way, so you definitely want to knead it, right? And just pull it until you get it to, where you want to. Oh, behind there I have a large compressor for the day tone, and that's a California Air Tools. It's an 8-gallon. It's loud, so it's only for the day. And then I have the super silent silent air compressor, the 1 gallon. That's for the evening, So okay, so I have my eraser, my kneaded eraser. And then I can come here and I can start shaping some areas here and there. See that, how I can shape that area, which is really great. And right here, for some reason, it's a little dark area. So I'm just going to tap this with the white pastel and just, bring that into congruence with everything else. And then let's go back in with the light mixture and add some creases here. There we go. That is not what I wanted to do. No worries. Just let that dry for a second. See what happens. Okay. Come back in with the white pastel, calm that down. And let's see. Alright. There we go, now it's working. Okay, so now that we have that taken care of, let's go ahead and see what we have. Okay, so I want a little more of a blast of light right here, so I'm going to use my Fons and Porter, and I'm just going to put that there like that. Kind of gives her more of that youthful look, Definitely. Yes, Chris, you never can find it when it's needed. Hey, what's up, Bill Kennedy? How's it going today? And let's see here. We'll go ahead and pull this down. And we'll work on a little bit of the texture here in the upper lip area. A little more a little more of a brilliant light right here. So let's go ahead and just sort of sketch that in here. And you know, we can get a little more pressure to show more intense light here and there. There we go. This one area, I've been kind of wrestling with this dark right here for the longest time. I'm just going to really soften it up right above her lip there. Hey, Dr. Steve, how's it going? Good to see ya. How's everything, my friend? Thank you so much, Dr. Steve. I really appreciate that. There we go. And yes, so we're at the very end of this, Dr. Steve. You know, after all these weeks, I actually did 7 weeks this week. Oh, I did hear from Wendy. She's doing good after the surgery, so that's good. Oh, Dr. Steve is hanging in there. New job, working in urgent care. Lots of COVID-19 tests, and some people despite vaccination. Wow, that must be harrowing, right, sir? Oh boy, you know, you get the vaccine, and they still get it. Oh man, that's why we can never be too careful. I go to the store, I still wear a mask, even though they say I don't have to, but I want to. I just don't want to take chances. And let's see here. And I love the way the light is sort of playing across her form here, especially in the face, but you still see this little muscle going along here. And I'm going to try and get that as much as possible, you know. Oh, so you don't use mask, Bill? You know, I understand a lot of people don't, you know, and everyone has, you know, their right, definitely. I'm just paranoid. Well, not paranoid, but always trying to be super careful. And everybody knows I had quite an interesting time of it when I did get the vaccination. So right there on the nose, I can see. Yeah, I rarely go out as it is. That's true. But I did go out to the UPS store today, so that was good. And right here on the left, there's just a little bit of light there. And see, it's very tricky when you have like a little bit of light there. You have to be careful it's not too strong because it'll look out of place. So you'll just have to bring that in line with everything that's around it, around that light. But it's easy to do. You just go ahead and put that on there, and then you just tap, and you tap that into the range that it needs to go. Now in this upper lip, it is lighter than I have it, so now it's time to go ahead and just ever so lightly put some of those sort of more transparent kind of lights in those lips there. And then we have our kneaded eraser, and we can bring that right into line with everything else. It just darkens it ever so slightly. See, on this side too, I can actually take the kneaded eraser and I can put it into a nice fine slit here, and I can start making some dark creases with the kneaded eraser, which is a great way to get technique. Same thing here. There we go. And of course, it's a little bit darker on this side, so we just use our light mixture, and we'll just slowly darken that, and then we can slowly darken that just like that. And so I like the way it's kind of going towards the corner here. So I'm going to again maybe use the white pastel, and then we're just gonna ever so slowly bring that down like so, you know. Hey, Mr. Smith, how's it going? So cool. And then we'll just come over here like that. And then we'll come back with the kneaded eraser and see if we can ever so lightly put in some details here. If it works, because it might not work. And that's at this last stage of the game. It's really whether or not it works, more so than that's what you're seeing. At this stage, you'll make more artistic choices. And so let's see if I can just smooth this out. And then this dark just doesn't work, so I don't like it, and I'm just going to remove it. There we go. And then this comes in at an angle here, so you see I'm still making drawing decisions at this point, you know. It never ends, that's for sure. Oh, Dr. Steve says, Tim, maybe you don't agree, but if you do, I am curious, how do you adjust something? The right eye of the model, or left eye, the lower lid, has an extra shadow on the white part. Can it be lightened? Sure. So what exactly do you mean, Doctor? Let me see. Are you seeing this part here? Let me see. So the right eye of the model, or our left, the lower lid has a little shadow on the white part. Oh, okay. Let's take a look. I'm always up for suggestions, so thank you guys. Let's see. So let's see. So Dr. Steve says there's a little bit of more of a shadow. Do you guys see it? And let me know if I'm missing it. So I'm looking here, and I do see a shadow right here, which is right here. And then we have this, and then this shadow. Now right here, perhaps, might be what you might be saying, is just right here very lightly. I do see a little bit of a, how do you say, maybe a little bit of some reflected light peeking in there. I can see that. Oh, the lateral part of her iris. Okay. So that's right here. Oh, I see. So it comes down over here. Yes. Oh, okay. So now I see what you mean, sir. So I see this little bit of a dark right over here like that. So I think that's what you mean. And I'll just bring that over. And then I can come in with the white pastel and see if I could just ever so slightly lighten that up. Oh, definitely. And right here, definitely, I could definitely lighten this up too, right? So thanks, I appreciate that. Just a little bit right there. And dust this out. So more left, so you're looking like over here. And then we have this coming down here. And then this over here. There we go. Ah, thanks. Oh, I appreciate that, sir. Definitely. It is, that does make a difference. So I appreciate that, doctor. Hey, Dr. Steve knows anatomy, so we gotta respect that. That's for sure. Yeah, he can, definitely. I mean, I remember one time my wife at the time, she sold a painting to a doctor's wife. So we went there to deliver the painting when I was married years ago. And so we were in the waiting, we were waiting there, and then my ex, she went to go talk with the doctor's wife. And so me and the doctor started talking about anatomy. It was a lot of fun. He's like, did you go to medical school? I'm like, no, just an artist. Yes, definitely. You definitely can lighten that with pastel. And that's another decision that sometimes I'll make. Like, I mean, you'll definitely see that even everything in the shadow side is going to be darker than in the light side. Even the whites of the eyes. But sometimes I may leave it a little bit, I might calm it down a little bit more, just for, artistic license, just to calm that down. So there are times I will do that. So right here, in thinking of that, I'm going to come back in with the medium mixture because I kind of lost the pupil there. So let me go in and show you here. So I'm going to come in with the medium mixture. Just really pull that dark out. Because remember, in the dark side, there's different rules of light and dark, right? Definitely different rules of light and dark. But I do see here that this comes down. I see more white of the eye here. Let's take a look as we go further away if that did solve that. So you see how we had to make sure that even the pupil of that side and even the highlight has to be darker, just to make sure that we make sure it's turning away from the light, Oh, definitely. Very cool. Very cool. And so thanks for that, Dr. Steve. I appreciate that very much. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work on some of these highlights in the hair now, because we are getting close to the nitty gritty. So we're in the final hour of this painting, so I really got to bring it together. Oh, thanks, Brad, and I appreciate that, and everybody. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my super aggressive eraser, which is sold on my website, of course. Not sold in stores. The thing is, I have to find my super detailed. Where is it? It was here. So I have this one, which is not my super detailed one. This one, okay. I do like the light green one, but this one's great as well. And then what I'm going to do is, we'll see that in the hair here, there are little light areas, but I really feel that it needs the dark here, so I'm going to come in with a medium mixture. I'm going to put that in like so. And then I'm going to come in with Mr. Fonz and Porter. And I'm just going to kiss the surface. That means I'm going to be super light. And I want to have distance in between. Right? That's so important. It's not just the space that you paint, but where you paint, but also where you don't paint. The spaces are just as important sometimes. And I'm just going to put that in like there. And then right here, getting some more light, just like that. It really is, right, Dr. Steve? I really love it. That's one of the things that drew me to this image. You know, of course, the beautiful lady, but, you know, what really drew me was this really marvelous hairstyle. And I'm going to put a light right in between the hairs here. I think that kind of makes it stand out a little more. Right over here. We'll put the highlight right here on the lid there. And it's interesting how, like, the end parts of this painting, when you're in the very end, that's when the likeness comes. It might not be there in stages 1 to, 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, and then 7. Then when it starts to really, get her appearance, her soul, so to speak. Oh, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Now you can see that, right here, that the highlight is not just a patch of light, right? But it sort of dissipates slowly as it moves down the cheek, right? And as it's moving down the cheek, it's going away from the light. And that's why we're getting sort of this like rippling look here. Very important. Now, as we get towards the end, we want to make sure we don't make it too graphic, in essence, lose your painterly quality. You always want to feel the atmosphere. We're not just painting, we're not painting, something commercial. This is a fine art piece of work. So we have different criteria. Yes, all erasers are needed. That's true, Chris. And I'm gonna put in some pastel here, and because a lot of these shapes, value shapes, have a lighter value or a darker value inside it, and that's why you really want to feel the light as it's moving, not just in the obvious place, but how it moves, bouncing all around within one shadow shape or light shape. And now we have to really, at this stage, what we're doing is really assessing everything to make sure that we are, let's see, so we really have to make sure that we're getting the sense of the light, the light as it washes across the form. And looking at this photo, you can tell that the light is in front of her, above her, and to the right. So as it moves from above and to the right, it sort of washes over her in an angle. So you want to feel that angle as it's washing over her. It's very, very important. Okay, so I'm not done with the hair. There's still some detail to do. I can see right here that I was a little overzealous with this wave of hair here. So it's never too late to make small adjustments. I'm not talking big adjustments. I'm talking small adjustments. So this is a small adjustment as we come over here, right? We just kind of make that smaller. And now we can come in with the kneaded eraser and we can adjust that. So you see, I was just off a little bit. But, you know, having that aesthetic criteria is really crucial. Without it, you know, you won't see your own mistakes. And that's very important to do. So now I could come back with the Fons and Porter here and see that it stops right about here, guys, and then sort of disappears. So we can come in with this more strong kneaded eraser and sort of, not kneaded eraser, but strong eraser. And I can see how it kind of disappears here. So let's make sure that that light disappears as it goes towards the center. Just like that. Oh, thanks, Steve. Yeah, you know, there's always going to be inconsistencies, you know, definitely. But, you know, I always try my best. Let's see. Just going to come here. And that's the thing, you know, I think Picasso said that a painting never really is finished, it's only abandoned. There we go. Let's come here. Oh, thank you, Dr. Steve. I appreciate it. I love your work as well, though. I do love your work, sir. And you know, we're all learning. We're all on the same road, right? That's it. You know. There we go. And then over here, we can come in with some real thin lines here. And again, you don't want to have a straight line like spaghetti. You want to have it broken like that. And it sort of gives a better feeling of the hair. But that's actually when you really observe the hair. It doesn't connect all in a straight line, you know? Oh, thanks, Dr. Steve. I appreciate that. Yeah, I always look at the work of Johannes Vermeer. He's a master of light, you know. Who else? Vermeer, Rembrandt is always great. Ingres. And I think, you know, watching the old masters, that really gives me an edge to really feel the light. And plus, you know, really studying the light as the truth. The light is actually the true subject of a painting, you know. Definitely. And I'm going to come here, and I'm just going to ever so lightly make sure I get the edge of the hair there. There we go. Alright, now we do have some light areas which are really good. Hey, what's up, Philip? How's it going? Oh, this is Fons and Porter. It's a fabric pen, and they're really great. And it erases, because it's really chalk. So it erases so beautifully. It's really great, you know? Definitely. just gonna put in some highlights here. Just like so. A little here. Just make sure I don't go crazy with it. And here, make this a little more powerful. Bring this down. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the hair. I'm not going to do too much, but I do see right over here we do have some light sneaking in, you know? Let's see. Right here we have some light sneaking in here. Just a little tiny bit. So I just want to make sure I just get a little bit of an indication of something happening here. Just a little touch of something. Just like that. And again, if it's just a little bit ardent, I can just go ahead and just tap it and bring that right into where it fits in with everything else, right? So right now we do have some lights. See this light right here? If I look at it, it's too powerful. I don't see it. I see it in the reference, but I need to just calm that down. So I'm just going to tap that maybe one more time just to calm it down a little bit more, so it isn't jockeying for attention. That should be right here. This is where I really want to have that happen. Oh, thank you. So that hair pops. I appreciate that, you know. And right here, up here, it's very interesting on her eyebrow. It's a little more angular. So let me see if I could get that, okay? So right here, if I do a diagonal straight down, it comes to right about here. So it's going to come here, and then there's going to be a sharper diagonal down, like right there. And let's just soften that up. Oh, Bradley, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Much appreciated. And it comes up a little higher. Comes up a little higher. And let's see what the effects are of that. I'm going to pull down right here. There we go. Okay, so I kind of like that a little bit better. Actually, I do like that a little bit better. And now, let's see what the other forehead is happening. Not the other forehead, the other eyebrow here. So, I'm just going to get this negative shape here, and perhaps this is a little thicker here, so I am going to pull this down a little bit thicker, and I think that is definitely the case here. I was a little stingy with this shape here. So it's great, you know, this is part 7, so we're really far into this, and it's getting to the point where, you know, we're really finding little fine-tuning here and there. But it is a lot of fun. This is a fun process. Now we can take our kneaded eraser. There's a little bit of texture here in this highlight, Let's see. Right here. Let's see if it works with the kneaded eraser. It might not because it's a little fine-tuned. But what I can do is maybe re-erase this and bring in that shape. And then come in with the Fons and Porter. And then just try and get the texture of this skin as the light is sort of kissing it. Just like so. Same thing here, sort of stretching around the bone of her nose, or cartilage, I should say. Sort of stretching. Okay. Let's zoom out. There, I feel a lot more texture there, and I'm feeling good about that. And then I'm just going to lightly, kind of, just very light pressure, just kiss this area right here to get some of that skin texture underneath the eye there. And you know, texture really comes from observation and observating, but not in the very beginning. You don't go for texture in the beginning of a painting. At the very end is when you really search for it. Oh, Nameless says the hair is really starting to pop. I appreciate that. And of course, you know, I appreciate everyone's comments. Let's pull that down. Okay. Hey Frankie, how you doing? Good to see you. Alright, so we have a little bit of a crease in the... Let's see if I could do that with the light mixture here. There we go. So we'll pull that with the light mixture. And then we have this little crease here. And always remember that, you know, the shape of something is, sometimes the shape is defined by what's adjacent to it, right? So you want to look for those opportunities. Oh, so Dr. Steve says, kiss the medial aspect of her left eye near the nose. I'm loving how great that tool works in your hands. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So right here, definitely understand what you're saying, Dr. Steve. Right here. And then maybe a little stronger, right? Just like right here, sir. Just like that. Yeah, I love that spot too, Dr. Steve, right there. And that really translates from far away, which I like. Thanks, Dr. Steve. I appreciate that so much. See, up close it doesn't look like anything, but when you zoom out, it really comes together. And that's basically the view that you would normally see it. And then let's see. We're gonna move down here, and see where we can, maybe I can dust this area here just to calm down some of the values here. I don't want it to compete with, you know, with her face, but I still want it to be visible. So I'm just going to calm this down a little bit here, just like so. All right, and it's a little bit dark right here along the cheek here, just a little bit. So I'm going to be about 4 inches away. I'm just going to darken that just a little bit to bring that cheek out just a little bit more. Dr. Steve is definitely a doctor. Let's come over here, and I want to darken this part of the forehead. Somebody's calling me and forgot that I had a live stream. Let's see. Okay, so we are getting pretty close to the end of this, but this is the fun part, really finding all those little things. Let's see, over here. Again, whenever I see a light that's too strong, I just tap it with the kneaded eraser and just bring that. Okay, so here on this, her ponytail, there are some little tiny lights, and I'm gonna try and just hit them ever so slightly, but still blurry, so not sharp lights. Just ever so blurry. Now remember, you want to make them, you know, not equidistant or the same size. As Drew says, add some chaos. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Dr. Steve. I get those calls like 3 times a day. I didn't even know my old car had a warranty. If they saw my car, they would be like, oh, wrong number, Tim, when they see my car. That's funny. It's like, yeah, okay, give me my warranty. Okay, so there's more of a blast of light in her ear, on her ear area, but I'm going to leave that alone because I don't want the ear to be too strong in detail. But let me continue with the hair just a little bit here. Surprising, you know, these little details are so important for the likeness, and that's one of the reasons why I really don't teach going for the likeness but going for the light, you know, understanding the light, and that's the most important thing. Oh, you sculpting, wow, that's something I always thought if I had a second life I definitely would spend that being a sculptor. But you can't do both, right? You can't serve 2 masters. But I always thought when I was a kid, you know, looking at the sculpture studios that were downstairs at the academy, I was like, wow, I would love to do sculpture, but yeah, that's a whole different ball game, you know. Oh, that's funny. Look at that. That's true. Like Jimmy Durante or something, right? That's pretty funny. So what's interesting, even having the first, even having the first live stream go down, I actually have more people in the second live stream, which is very interesting. Frankie, so very good question. So I'm classically trained, so I've been trained in art school since 15 and went all the way through college and even after that. But I would say the first 4 years I was just dedicated more towards oil painting. So it's interesting that you say that because everything I paint like an oil painter. The way I paint in pastels, the way I airbrush, it's all like an oil painter. So you'll see a very oil painting feel to everything I do. Oh, thanks, Dr. Steve. I appreciate that. He says that all the small parts come together to make it work. Thank you. Uh, yes, wood carving is very close to sculpture. I can definitely see that. So Nameless said he's always been interested in oils. It is hard to work with, and I'll tell you why. Because when you mix it, you have to make sure that you know how to mix it. Otherwise, before you know it, you'll have all this paint because white is so dominant, and so you always end up with all this paint on your palette. And remember, you're working with cream almost, very thick. So the properties of almost a solid is definitely different than, let's say, airbrush or watercolor. So it's its own animal. Interesting. You know, we're going to pull out, I always like pulling out different techniques for you all to let you know that the possibilities are endless. So let's get out our crow quill. That's going to be fun. And we're going to put some, we'll put some medium mixture in there. Why not? Let's just shoot caution to the wind. Let's just put some medium mixture in there in our crow quill. And let's get some of these fine lines. We're in the end, so end of this process. And we have real sharp, small, sharp lines. Let's go ahead and get some of them. So I'll zoom in and show you what I mean. Real sharp. And these are sharp lines that you cannot get with anything else. Not like this. Yes, with airbrush you can get sharp lines, but they're not going to be this hard edged. There's always a better tool for the job, and you always want to keep an eye out for the best tool. So what I really want to teach in my classes and in my live streams is that everything is fair game. If we zoom out, it works. See that? We got some really nice sharp lines we didn't have before. Alla prima, it's alla prima means like one time. It means you don't do any sketching or anything. You just go right in like a cowboy. I don't like alla prima method. I think if it's okay if you're double parked or you have a dental appointment in a half hour, but I honestly don't think that the alla prima method is something that I feel is warranted. I think anything worthwhile, you have to carefully plan and do it. But if you're doing quick studies, then I feel the alla prima method is okay. Calligraphy pens are really fantastic. Yes, whatever works is so true. You can also establish some hard edges with the Crocryl, which is nice. See how I'm bringing much more attention to her eye on the right, because that's the star of the whole show. So let's bring in some white pastel in here. Put in some of these negative shapes in this eyebrow. Oh, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Brad's one of my longtime students. He's been with me 18 months, and he's doing some great work. There we go. See, you know, you don't want her eyebrows to appear that they are painted on when they're not. So we'll go in there and we'll see what we can do. Whether we use this tool or the other tool, whatever tool gets the job done. With the 1 second rule, make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening. Go and let's see when we zoom out, how does it look? Much better, much more realistic. I do see it's a little lighter over here, so I'm going to come in with the white pastel and just lighten this ever so slightly, just like that. So let's see, Nameless says, the Kneaded Eraser, what's a good brand? You know, I think, you know, as far as Kneaded Eraser goes, whatever is a name brand is fine. There used to be, the Blick brand is pretty good if you go to Dick Blick, or Generals is always good. Just make sure that they're not too dark, because you don't want anything that starts out oily. Hi Ruth, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh, Ah, thank you, sir. Anything I'm selling is the best. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, doctor. So Ruth is here. So that's so cool to see you, Ruth. And so Ruth is a multi-talented person, if anyone doesn't know her. Let me go ahead and calm that down. That was a little overzealous. Right here, that light, I went a little crazy. Yeah, so good to see you is right. Then right here, there's this little slit of light right here. Perfect. And maybe we can come in with the airbrush and darken this spot right here. There we go. Oh, Ruth has a YouTube channel and everything. Very talented lady. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I do see the light over here. So let's go ahead and make sure that we get some of these light shapes over here. It's a little dark right over here. A little bit darker. Ever so slightly. So I wish I had her phone number. I'd be calling her myself. So so this photo is a kind of a story. I was on Pinterest and I seen this photo and I was like, wow, I really have to paint it. So I looked up the photographer, found the website, and found his contact me. And I finally, I asked him in an email, could I paint this? And he was like, sure. So that was very, very gracious of this photographer. Sometimes you get lucky. A lot of times, sometimes photographer won't even answer you. If they do, they'll say no, which is their prerogative, right? But yeah, this is a beautiful lady. So here's a case of, there's lights within the dark here. So I'm going to scumble in some lights here. So it is dark, but it's not a dark value. It's very subtle, like waves underneath the skin. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, Dr. Stephen. Yes, I concur with the photographer. Just a wonderful job with this image. So there's little waves under the skin, and that's what we're looking for. Little waves of light and dark as muscle and bone sort of just peek up on the surface and go back under. So you're going to have all these little undulations, and that's what we really want to capture, especially in the end game here. And Nameless says, Tim, you got to let us post links on this chat so we can share channels. Think you control that? No, that actually has to do with YouTube. So I don't actually am able to control that. I think that has to do with the way that YouTube doesn't allow that, you know, in chat. So I like how the end where you add the pastel and it really begins to, you know, when you really just rub that pastel in, you really get that translucency of skin, which is very nice. Now you got to be careful not to go too light, then you undo the hard work that you did, right? Actually, that story of an artist painting a woman, so there's this myth, I don't know if it's Greek or Roman, it's called Pygmalion and Galatea. And so basically the story was this sculptor, he sculpted this woman, and it was so beautiful that he fell in love with her. And the story is that the gods went ahead and seen how much he loved this sculpture and how beautiful it was, that he granted her to come to life. So that's the whole story of Pygmalion and Galatea. So look that up. That's really cool. So I'm just looking for undulations here and there. And okay, right here we have an undulation. Comes over here, comes down. And it's very interesting because it's still lighter, but it's not a highlight. So we're going to use our eraser and sort of get like this light in the shadow area. And how we can define that is come in with the medium mixture here with the airbrush. And bring this down. And then we still have to make sure that even though there's a light there, you have to make it darker than the highlight. So I'm going to be about 5 inches away. I'm just going to slowly darken that. And then right here, there's a side plane. And you see how that's in shadow a little bit. And without doing these things, you won't see the light areas. And then we'll come in with the neat eraser and we'll shape this light. So Brad says, be good, they could come to life without the drama. Oh my goodness. So you see how this light continues, even though it just sort of trickles out over here, just sort of trickles over here, but ever so lightly. So when a light is very close to, if a light is weak, that means it's close in value to what's around it. If it's strong, that means there's a high contrast. Over here. And Frankie says, well, I have to get back to work, Tim. Oh, have a great night there, Frankie. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Frankie. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the encouragement, my friend. And so Ruth says, can you tell us how you determine when a piece is finished? It looks so good to me, I would feel it's done. It's very interesting. You know, you never really get a sense that it's done. You just get a sense that, okay, I'm happy with it. But as Picasso said, a painting is never really completed, it's just abandoned. There's always something you can do, Ruth. It's just what you want to say, right? If I get to the point where it's what I wanted to say, then I could leave it alone, you know? It's a very good question. Oh, Rick says that the airbrush looks nice. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. And yes, my customized Extreme Patriot Arrow. I love this airbrush. It just does so much. And it rivals any custom Micron out there, no doubt. And then this is the Extreme 105, which is everything the same except has a bigger cup. And I also make them too. I customize that for you guys and girls out there. Oh, so Nameless is looking up Pygmalion Galatea, you know? Wow, so a friend gave you a magic pencil. Oh, if that could only happen, right? But the power in that, man, I can imagine abusing a magic pencil. You might bring into the world something that should not be here, right? So that's, I can see that being a Twilight Zone episode. Let's just give a little blast of light right here. So the light that's above her, we're just going to give a blast of light right there. Let's see. Oh, that would be great, Rick. Definitely. Yeah, you know why I like them? Because when you're doing backgrounds, Rick, you have that extra area and they really complement each other. Like when I'm doing a big background like this, I always go to the 105. Really, but it still get that amazing detail, which is fantastic. Okay, I'm going to put some more intense light. So what happens is I use the Pitt Pastel medium pastel pencil for the lights, for the highlights. And it's a hard pastel, but then at the very end I'll take something like this, which is a Rembrandt white, Rembrandt brand, and I'll apply it on the sandpaper. And then I'll use that as a blast of light. It's much more brilliant than everything else. So I'm actually adding more intensity now because we're getting in the last few minutes of this painting. So you see how I'm bringing some intensity here? So time for some intensity. Right here, I'm going to bring that. Let's see if I can really load that up. There we go. Look at that. Just really powerful. And just at the most powerful spots where the light is really going to pop. And right here. And maybe just right here. So you see how I'm bringing that light down. I'm directing your eye because, 100 years from now, hopefully this painting is in a museum. Their eye, those people who are not even born yet, are going to have their eye directed by me right here tonight in this live stream. And if you ask me, that's pretty exciting. So you see how I can really bring those blasts of light? Let's put a blast of light right here on the hair. Because I want the eye to move around. But I want the eye to move where I want the eye to move. So the next project is going to be very interesting, and you guys are going to love it, but it's still a secret. Okay, so we are at 11:29, and let's just put a blast of light right here. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Dr. Steve, Brad, Ruth, Patty, and everybody. I really appreciate it so much. You guys are all great. And oh, thank you. Ruth says that Clint worked so well. I really appreciate it, Todd. Love you too, Dr. Steve. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and your great feedback there. I really helped there. So thank you for the collaboration, my friend. And so good night, everybody. So we did good. Tone, welcome back. Raul, everybody. You all are great. Remember, it's not the quantity, but the quality, and the quality of the people here is everything. Just amazing. And so tomorrow is Thursday. Let's make it count, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week.